So yes, I am broadcasting in the cover of darkness because the system was telling us what was to come, which is why you had the Addams family, Morticia, and all that. Everything is very dark and in the cover of darkness and a little morbid. You had the Vampire Diaries telling you. You had Twilight telling you how the light is going to be extremely detrimental, but they pose the light and how that light influences as monsters, but they've also characterized humans as monsters, which I probably wouldn't argue too much about, because there's a lot of monsters in our society, like a lot of monsters in our society. And even though we're glamorizing the Vampire Diaries and the Lost Boys, well, the Lost Boys wasn't really glamorizing. It was showing you how deadly, stuff was. But even though we glamorized during the Twilight and Vampire Diaries, they were trying to tell you that, some humans who don't get it figured out are going to be phased out through their lack of understanding science and energy conversion and all that. And so it's like, whoa. It's wow. It's wow. I mean, I am tripping out on all of this. Because I knew there was something else going on. And I knew the light was going to be something as an adversary. You see, the sun was hot, but before you go to different areas, the sun was hot and it was humid and it was tolerable. But now the sun has been amplified exponentially, like literally exponentially. And you hear about those that talk about the chemtrails and all that. And well, those chemtrails, even though they're not poison, contrails, water vapor, whatever, again, it's like skiing on a mountain. And the sun reflects and burns the face. That's why skiers wear face masks. Okay, when you're boating, why do you think boaters look weather beaten? Because the sun reflects off the water and it amplifies the light rays and it makes the skin leathery and the people age faster. Why do you think outdoorsmen nowadays are looking like they are aging aggressively? Because they're out there constantly in the very amplified light. That even though the air isn't poison per se, it is amplified exponentially. But then on top of that, yesterday, holy shit, yesterday, the day before, or whatever, yesterday was Tuesday. It was Monday. So Monday, people are looking at the flipping eclipse, some with glasses, some without glasses, it doesn't even matter at this point. And then some people were sick yesterday. Some people had diarrhea yesterday. Some people were throwing up yesterday. And so I was right on in preparing for aggressive immunological responses. Doesn't mean it was all going to happen all together, but I mean, who knows how the light and how the environment influences immune systems. And so while some people may not have felt something right away on the day of the eclipse, it was then hours later that people were feeling stuff. And it'll be hours later when people or hours, days, weeks later, who knows, that people will start experiencing eye issues. So even though I was not raised around solar eclipses, I didn't never study them ever. In California, we hear about them, but it was like, okay, whatever. I never got into it. It never was anything that was that, influential in my world. I come here, oh my gosh. Ohio, oh my gosh. It's like a major crazy ritual. And so some people from who knows where they came from know that you're not supposed to be looking at the solar eclipse, obviously, but then they're like, oh, well, here, wear these glasses. Okay. And then I'm thinking like, oh shit, then there's these weird lights that the system was also posting in articles. that many did not understand. I'm like, yeah, okay, weird lights, whatever. Big deal. It's going to go over the heads of most people anyways. I'm thinking, holy shit. So even though I wasn't raised around solar eclipses and told yes or no about looking at them or not looking at them, I'm thinking like, oh crap. This is a mass ritual event. You have everybody involved. You have the Hollywood stars. You have all the meteorologists, Weather Underground. You have Jim Cantori there. You have so many people who've been told, church groups and all these different people are like, oh yeah, let's go see the solar eclipse. It's a total, I'm thinking, oh my God. And then you have IFL Science saying, don't be caught out there. Don't be caught out there. And I'm like, okay, what are they planning? And we didn't know whether it be something like the Butler County Sheriff and Summit County Sheriff saying we're in a bad way and someone's going to come in and attack us and do this, and that. You have JWTV saying that there's going to be a chemical attack, but maybe not. Who knows? Biological attack. And so all of us were like kind of jockeying, figure out how we're going to, dodge a blow, right? Dodge another punch, dodge an uppercut, dodge this. And so I was thinking like, you know what? I'm just going to believe everything, assume the worst. And I'm going to black out my windows, act like I'm in the freaking Lost Boys that were under a vampire attack. I'm going to make sure I have enough food, water, and air and all that stuff, fuel. I'm going to make sure that things are copacetic. So that way, no matter what happens, I'll be prepared for it. But what tripped me out, so even though there was no major attack, nothing crazy happened. But what is the system's main thing here? Silent weapons for quiet wars. If you even believe that, right? And I'm thinking, oh shit. And I knew when I was posting those articles about ocular immune system activation, when I was experiencing little stars in my bathroom, when the light was coming through that picture window, refracting everything, and I'm getting hit with so much light to my eyes. And I'm not only seeing stars, but seeing floaties everywhere. I'm like, what the hell? And then feeling so nauseous and so just discombobulated when I went into Walmart. That was like a week ago, Thursday, before my husband left to go on vacation. And I just couldn't think for the life of me. And I'm thinking like, okay, fuck. And then I'm like, oh, and now people are looking directly at the freaking solar eclipse. And even with the glasses, whatever. And let's just pretend there was no other strobe lights that were going on. You're still taking in wavelengths, and you have no idea even what those rockets were doing, what CERN was doing, amplifying the atmosphere. You can't see anything. It's ultra low frequency. Silent weapons for quiet wars. And I know I feel shit. I'm upstairs here in my house, and the lights coming in all the windows, and I had to react really aggressively when I figured out infrasound was not the only thing that was going on. It was also light, but the sound, infrasound, light, all of those things working together, plus an amplified atmosphere with all the refractive particles in the air from all the water vapor that may have even activators like metal nanoparticles that are not poison again, but they do amplify the atmosphere. Even salt particles amplify, either reflect towards the earth or reflect opposite relative to how they do that. Okay, so now you're seeing why then in California, when they're getting salt particles injected into the clouds, making California colder. And of course, tornadoes. And then here in Ohio, since I live here, I'm feeling the sun, and it is not just the sun. The sun's the sun, but it's what happens between the sun and its destination. Okay, so what's going on in between? Who's mediating how we receive the sun? Whether getting it blocked or whether getting it amplified. Which is then you understand then why dinosaurs were taken out, because the sun was blocked from probably volcanoes and all the ash blocking the sun out for maybe a year. Who knows, right? To the other parts getting so much sun that's amplified so much that's causing deserts and barren wasteland and death and destruction. And so, yeah, so then I'm making like, you know what? I need to block out the sun in the upstairs. You know, my husband's a day walker. He can handle the sun. He has a lot more logs on the fire than I do to burn. I came in this world at a deficit, came to America at a deficit, and then even raised at a deficit because the salt was off the table, the sugar was off the table, junk food was off the table. We were living off of chicken and fish and hot dogs and macaroni and cheese and fruits and yogurt and bologna sandwiches and ice cream as a treat. My dad made cookies occasionally, make muffins occasionally. But I wasn't allowed to really build up the substance because that was not the program. The program was to be cute and hot and sexual later on down the road, which is a good thing because it helped me assimilate to the society that I was going into and assimilate to the point of where then I can figure out how to save myself during climate change. Because we're in climate change. We are in climate change right now. So, yeah. So I don't have the excessive logs on the fire that some people have that were born in areas like Ohio. My husband has so many logs on his fire. He has hard, dense bones. He's built like a brick shit house. And I had to catch up. And which meant that when the light activated whatever was going on inside my immune system for how many years? Since 7 years, 3 years. I had to deal with that and I had to feed for it. I had to release the demons, feed and rebuild and all that. I'm going to put my light on. Okay? And so now with how amplified the light is outside, and it's coming through the windows, and I felt a difference yesterday. Like I've been sleeping so amazing because of 0-degree visibility in the darkness. But going downstairs, I cooked an amazing meal for my husband last night. And I felt the sweats that come on for a minute and then disappear. It's great. And I was taking care of stuff. And then I'm like, I'm going back up to my fucking cave because I can't just sit in this light 24/7. It's different. And who knows how long this is going to be for. This was crazy. People think, okay, Jillian's crazy, but what's the system doing? They are speeding up people's immune systems to cause energy conversion to happen that quick that people actually spend themselves out of existence because they haven't changed their lifestyle. You actually have to behaviorally change to save yourself. What does it mean behaviorally change? Well, I get you have to go to your job. You're out in light for 8 hours a day. And then you come home to darkness. Well, you better feed for the light that you're exposed to because it's now amplified. You better feed for the job that you're in. You better spend your money on food and water more than all your baubles and trips and things that you do on the weekend because the weekend is going to even take more energy out of you. You have to actually use the weekend to recoup the resources lost during that week. Literally, you have to recoup those resources. And if your body is using more resources than you can recoup on the weekends and even when you get off of work, because you're so distracted with having to be busy all the time, people are actually spending themselves out of existence. So I noticed a difference in my sleeping. I actually had a few dreams last night about a dog and an old classmate. And it was so interesting, those dreams. But it was 0% visibility. And I slept amazing. Okay, so there's something to be said for blacking out your bedroom. Blacking out parts of your house that the rooms that you live in. So you can catch up. Some of these skinny chicks out there that have open air everything. It's like all their house is a bunch of windows. They're outside most of the time. Gallivanting like nothing has changed. Expending more resources than they can retain. And they wonder why they have food issues. They wonder why they have food intolerances. They wonder why they're aging aggressively. They wonder why they have cancer disease and chronic illness. I see people that are 30 years old, they're aging aggressively, looking like they're about my age, 50. There are kids that are developing faster, sooner. The human growth hormone has been activated to such an extent, it's accelerating, causing them to mature faster, which is then why you have Mensa kids that are extremely smart because they're tapping into their maturity at a younger age. Maybe their brain's maturing, but their body isn't. And it's kind of confusing so many issues out there that, my God. And so, yeah, with those that went out yesterday or the day before, looking at the sun and the whole solar eclipse, Oh yeah, there's going to be a delayed reaction. Some people had an immediate reaction the day later, throwing up and shitting their pants. Even during I was shitting my pants. I don't shit my pants, but I was definitely pooping a lot on Monday. But some people will get issues days later. Eye issues. That was the most Googled term. My eyes hurt after watching the solar eclipse. People are explaining it away. Oh, because they strained their eyes. Oh, because they didn't use their glasses correctly. And so, what did I say? People make fun of those that... People make fun. Nothing that was projected to happen happened, right? People are making fun. Oh, nothing happened. You didn't have bodies in the street, Jillian. People weren't having heart. You don't know what people were dealing with. There were sirens going on. There wasn't a major earthquake. Your whole town didn't go under and all. I'm like, yeah, no shit. But since we didn't know exactly the whole situation, we didn't know exactly what to expect, we had to prepare for everything. We had to prepare everyone for everything, even though we sound like crazy people. But guess what came out of all of that? Preparing for it all, right? I figured out blacking out the windows is actually helping me. So out of all that fear that I had to develop and prepare for, since I didn't know what was to come from whatever, what came out of it was now blacking out the windows. Even though it sounds crazy, people are like, "What? That's so..." No, it's not, because that's what also contributes to immune system activation and also lack of sleep. And there was an article in Daily Mail that said that people would get more strokes sleeping with the windows open, the window shades open. Well, that makes sense. I mean, I wake up hot as hell like I did a couple weeks ago, and I had and the windows weren't even open. But there was so much light coming through that even it was penetrating my blinds. Now that I have black shirts covering my windows in my bedroom, only a little bit of light gets through, but not a whole lot. I can still peek through and look through and see through the holes and see what's out there. But I'm not getting a vast amount of flipping light like the vampires that are like night walkers. I'm not getting the kind of light that will cause them to burn up. That was the whole allegory. That was the meaning behind these vampires. They can't be around light. They start sparkling, pixelating, but it's not glamorous. It's not, oh, I should do. No, that's burning up. And then you see them when they're out there in the light, when the dawn comes, the morning, right? And they turn into ash. That's trying to tell you what this light is going to be. Well, it was like that, but it was slower in a slower frequency environment. The sun rays were longer, lazy, right? Now the sun rays, when you think about it, the ULF and everything else that's going on with all the particles in between the sun and the system mediating how we're receiving it, the wavelengths are being activated, vibrated, piezoelectricity, okay? And the wavelengths are shorter, which means that it's amplifying people's immune systems, and they're causing aggressive immune system activation, which of course then is cancer, disease, and chronic illness, autoimmune disorders, and the aging process, and of course, people's belief systems and everything else that they hold inside are also amplified. And people are also at their wits' end. They're highly triggered. They don't have much patience and tolerance for people different than them. Some people are very violent. You've seen that. Other people are reacting to things that they can't tolerate before, that they could tolerate before, in a very violent way, even threatening people. That's how short fused people are because of immune system activation and the shorter wavelengths in the light energy because of how the system is amplifying the energy. And so people make fun. Nothing happened that was expected to happen, and that means you're getting too comfortable. See, that's the thing. Those that were like, oh gosh, all the doomsdayers are saying that the end of the world was going to happen. Well, I'm telling you, when you losing your sight and you have immune system activation and you're more intolerant to food and your bones are falling apart, people are breaking bones, things are breaking apart, that's pretty apocalyptic in my world. If I had to deal with bone breakage and cancer diagnosis and potential blindness, that's pretty apocalyptic. But see, that's the system. System is now figuring out how to lessen the population without completely throwing away the baby with the bathwater. They give enough information for those who fucking get it to make actual behavioral changes. And those are like, oh, I'm in resistance because I don't believe anything, right? They're out there gallivanting. They're out there doing whatever they're doing, looking at the freaking sun, with their glasses or without the glasses, causing blindness as well as immune system activation and even delayed issues, and which will then encourage another pandemic to happen, I'm sure. And so the system gave all of us who are listening a test run. Since we didn't know what to prepare for, we prepared for everything. Well, some of us did, not all of us. But I prepared for everything. I made sure of it. And I even though my husband's like, what the fuck is going on? I'm like, dude, I don't know what to expect. You don't know what to expect either. But if you went out there with everybody else during this mass ritual of looking at the sun with some fucking flimsy $1.38 glasses you get off at Amazon thinking it's going to protect you, and he already has eye issues, so he wears glasses or he wears contacts, can you imagine what kind of shit he would be dealing with later on? I can only imagine those that went out there, what kind of shit they're going to be dealing with later on, if not now. So yeah, you can gloat, oh yeah, the world didn't fucking end. Oh, it's a delayed reaction. That's what we're in, is silent weapons for quiet wars. You have to know what kind of world you're living in. If you don't, then you'll just be like following the masses over the cliff. And so, yeah, the system is seeing who is going to understand what's going on and who's going to listen to indicators, who is going to heed warnings, and who's going to be like, well, whatever. You're stupid. And many people out there who are like, oh yeah, you're stupid. I'm going to do this, this, and that because I'm going against the system and saying, well, whatever the system says, I'm going to do the opposite of. And yeah, that's going to bite you in the ass. I'm like, I know when to listen to the system. I know what recommendations are and I know what mandates are. When they recommend stay home, stay safe, don't be out there, don't be caught out there. But there's no mandate, there's no law that says you couldn't be out there. They're like, hey, if you want to go out there and go follow the masses and go look at the fucking sun with some flimsy Amazon glasses, if you want to go out there and hang out with people, you want to go out there and just stare at something that's going to burn the retinas in your eyes and you can't even feel it because there's no pain receptors, you want to put your kids through that? Fine, we're not going to stop you because you don't have discernment. You don't understand science. You follow the crowd. So the system actually is seeing who is even the conspiracy people. We have people who are like, right-wing Christians, left-wing Christians, or conspiracy people out there looking at the sun with no glasses. But not that's going to really make a difference anyways, wearing the glasses that they had. But they're like, I'm just going to do whatever because I don't believe the sun exists. I don't believe the moon exists. I mean, there's that side of it. And I'm like, oh my God. It doesn't matter what you believe or do not believe. What's going on is the sun, the light, whatever is so amplified that I wouldn't even want to look. Why would I want to look at something that everybody is saying do or do not do and believe or do not believe, and you're out there with the masses regardless if you're wearing glasses or not, regardless if you're taking the recommendations from the system. You're out there doing the same fucking ritual that you said you were allegedly understanding and it was against. And you didn't black out your environment. You didn't stay home. You were out there with everybody else worshiping the same thing, whether or not you believe what you were worshiping or not. And that's what's fucking crazy. That's how intricate the psychological campaigns are through Tavistock, through CIA, FBI, through all the science community. I mean, I'm so glad I was raised the way I was raised because I know all the tactics. And I'm trying to get that across to even the people in the conspiracy world, but some of them are so fucking dense. And a lot of it's because they're under the influence. That's what's really taken away from their ability to see all sides of the issue, is that either they're starving or they're under the influence of cannabis and alcohol and drugs and whatever else that even you try to penetrate. No matter how much information they're giving off on one end, they can't seem to take in information on the other end and balance both sides. It's like all or nothing for some people. And I'm like, I'm believing everything and I'm staying home and staying safe. And I know what I can handle, what I can't handle. I let my husband know, I know you're out there and you have to be out there, but make sure that you will obviously black out your truck when you're done, but make sure you eat for your environment. Make sure you eat for the light that you're exposed to that is so amplified and it's causing people to be triggered in their emotions. So it's dangerous out there, especially in the trucking industry. You're dealing with people who that are alone most of the time, have their own issues, have other things going on, probably stressed out because you're dealing with four-wheelers who don't care about truckers. And you're in strange places that you're not familiar with. And they know you're a foreigner, or they know you're from some other place. I mean, obviously, because you're a trucker. So you're dealing with even that on top of that. But tell my husband, make sure you eat food. Make sure you have enough food, enough water. Obviously, you have to eliminate, you eliminate. But it was no coincidence. It was no surprise that both him and I had to really release some poop demons. But it wasn't explosive diarrhea where we shit our pants. We were conditioned enough to feel the feeling that we had to go take a crap, and we did. But it was a lot more on that Monday. Then my husband had a little more diarrhea even yesterday, but he was okay. I said, okay, if you're having diarrhea, you need to have salt and sugar and carbs and meat. So I made a lot of noodles with milk. What is it, like an Alfredo, with the deer steaks that I soaked in juice and some salt and garlic and whatever else. So it had a nice flavor, with some dehydrated corn that I rehydrated back together. And that was a great meal last night. And even then I was hungry even after that. And so I had ice cream, chocolate ice cream with banana chips. Have some banana chips. Get your potassium. Always have some kind of snack food around. Because I'm telling you, the energy that is this energy is so aggressive. It's causing people to be hungry, if they even recognize hunger, if they're not psychologically programmed against food. But it also causes so much energy conversion that your body will actually eat itself up alive. And that's called the Ouroboros, when the snake eats its tail. And that's going on too. People are aging aggressively, getting skinnier and skinnier and skinnier because the snake's eating its tail. They're afraid of air, food, and water. They're afraid of meat, milk, cheese, eggs, and fruits and vegetables. And of course, they're out there causing more immune system activation, more energy conversion, more than they can handle. And so some people are too far gone that they would actually have to stay home and get out of the light and eat a lot of food to then give them substance to convert and then pull out the demons when needed, and stay home and get out of the light, get out of the environment. Only go out occasionally. Only go out at night. But even then, the frequencies are going on at night. I feel the sweats occasionally at night. I feel the heat, even though I have the AC on it, like 67, 68. It's already, 55 degrees? That's pretty warm in my world. I have the AC on at 55 degrees. Why? Because there's a different frequency that's going on that's causing heat. Causing relative heat. Energy conversion that people are not aware of. Because they look at the temperature, it's 55, and they're like, well, but they don't realize there's other things going on that's causing energy conversion, causing more logs on the fire in your body to burn up. And if you don't have your pain receptors available to you because you're under the influence, you would not know how much energy you're burning because you don't feel anything. That's what's so dangerous. Those that hardly weigh anything, to those who are under the influence of cannabis and alcohol and drugs and sex and having so many animals, you're not aware of how many logs you're burning on that fire until you basically burn up all the resources and you don't have enough to keep you alive. And that's what is going on. And that's just crazy. So it dumbfounds me to see on my Facebook so many of the people in the conspiracy world out there during the eclipse. I was just like, what? And just completely disregarding recommendations. Like, I'm going to stare at the sun with no glasses because I don't believe NASA. NASA is this and that, no. And I'm like, oh my God, how far are you going to take all of the resistance against government agencies? That was a programming that was embedded so deep, not only in the flat earth world, but in the moon doesn't exist. Now, when they're saying that we're not going to have any more solar eclipses in the future, well, I don't know how that is, but at this point, I am not even going to care whether the sun exists, or the moon exists, or the stars exist, or we live in some flat earth plane. I don't even care. Because I know how aggressive these frequencies are. I know how aggressive the sun can be amplified with mediators in between, doing what God knows what they're doing. But I know because I feel it. The rain last night was so aggressive, like seriously aggressive. It was so hard. The rain was so hard and so loud. Torrential downpours last night. And then there's hurricanes, tornadoes in Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi. I mean, that ought to be indicator. Then we're heading into hurricane season. Can you only imagine what Floridians and anyone on the eastern seaboard and anyone over there in the Gulf Coast are going to be experiencing through this amplified environment? That, yes, that mass ritual of the eclipse was kicking off another uptick. I mean, just even a week before the eclipse, I was waking up with a major pressure headache, which meant the environment became even more aggressive. But the last couple days, now I'm thinking like, okay, you know how the mind tries to justify why I feel a certain way? I'm thinking, well, maybe the system programs, like, you know, they have a certain algorithm, a programming that says like all, like, you know, where you have at everyone, so everyone on your Facebook gets, you know, a message or something, or your post, and you get a notification. Well, then you have to be the one to block that type of thing. Well, what if the system has, well, there's certain programming frequencies that come off the phones for certain people in certain areas, and who knows how the system programs all the ULF in the phones and what frequencies it gives off. So maybe they calm down the frequencies in my phone so I'm not getting as much, which is why I haven't been feeling so crazy the last few days ever since the eclipse. And I'm thinking like, okay, so the system giving me a break? Are they slowing the frequencies down so they're giving me a chance to figure some shit out? I'm making up all these stories in my head because I don't know what to think. So is me blacking out the windows a reason why I'm not feeling such aggressive ways I did, where I would blow my nose and feeling like I mean, I had a few heart palpitations. I did actually on Tuesday. I had to take a nap, but it was a nap that I had to take. But I woke up refreshed. But I felt the heart palpitations, but I didn't feel so bad. I mean, I don't know. But I noticed a difference in my sleep. I even noticed a difference in my sleep a couple weeks ago, where I would fall asleep and I'd be snoring. So my husband and I hung out like on Monday night, and I was falling asleep to something. He kept going like, "Jillian, wake up. You're snoring loud." I'm like, "Oh, shit." I'm like, "Well, it's like you snore so loud." He's like, "No, man, you snore like there's like a freight train." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, well, my immune system has shifted. My circadian rhythms are different. And I sleep, and I fall asleep faster. I sleep deeper. And even blocking out the windows in my bedroom, it's even better. I'm sleeping longer. I wake up at certain times, but when I wake up, I'll listen to something on YouTube, and then I'll fall asleep again. But I don't have that energy to wake up at 4 a.m. and get on Facebook and say, "Oh my God." No, I've been sleeping. And so I slept into like 6 something this morning. And then I spent my husband, I mean, it feels like it's dark in here. It feels like it's dark in here. It's really crazy. My husband, he had to go to work. And he left for work. And I'm cutting up some old jeans that he has thrown away because there's holes in it. I'm blacking out the windows. But I remember actually when I was taking a nap, whether it was Tuesday or Monday, I think it was Tuesday or yesterday, I forget. I would wake up and it was in the afternoon. I didn't know what time it was. I didn't know what time of day it was. I didn't know. It was like waking up to I didn't know anything as far as just the time of day and what day it was and all this stuff. So it was such a weird phenomenon. Even right now, it's so dark. I don't know what time of day it is. Is that bad? Not necessarily. Because it's keeping things relatively even. Now, when I go downstairs, I'll know what time of day it is, and I'll get an immune system activation. That's fine. And go through its energy conversion. I'll eat food and all that stuff. And then I'll go back upstairs and let things just do what it needs to do. So in my opinion, I would recommend finding where you live mostly. If you are staying home most of the time, if you're not out there, if you're working out there, then you're going to have to find time to recoup the resources used being out there. But if you're at home most of the time, find a place in your house, especially if you're dealing with your issues, the antigen antibody programming, all those, those hives and whatever else. If you have issues, find a place where you live, whether it's in the basement or upstairs or wherever, and black out the windows. And that could be your little cave that you can crawl into to get some respite from the crazy ass light that's out there. That's my recommendation. Doesn't mean you have to do it. But I'm telling you, some people will get some kind of benefit from that, because I'll tell you, I have. I'm not saying I'm like you. You're not saying you're like me. But maybe just try that. That can't harm you. That's the thing. There's nothing wrong with blacking out your windows. It might look weird. Your friends will be like, what the hell? Or your family or whoever, or your neighbors will like, why does she have all this shit in the window? I know my poor husband is like, what the hell? But him and I are not made the same. But that's what I suggest you. See, here's the thing. You know, I obviously have to get blackout curtains, but we're not spending right now money on curtains. I mean, I'm sure we will. But there's other things that need to be done. But that's the thing, is that having the t-shirts in the windows to block out the light, is fine at this point. I'm not spending any more money at this point unless I absolutely have to. But how long can I do that? Well, we'll see. I will eventually get blackout curtains. But we have other things where we have to get done, so I'm fine with that. These are my little workarounds. But where you predominantly live, especially now in this environment, black out, have an area in your world where you can black out the aggressive light, because the light is aggressive. It's very aggressive. That's why the temperature is so confusing. You look at the temperature, it says it's this, but you're feeling hotter than what the temperature's saying. And I had the AC on last night at 67. My husband's like, he's freezing, and I'm feeling great. I'm feeling perfect. And so again, if there's electricity, if there's an electrical outage, I can go in the basement. And I blocked out the windows in the basement. And I'll sleep in the freaking basement if I have to. Okay? But give yourself a place to get some respite from the sun, from the light. Because we are in a Luciferian society. It's Luciferian. It's all about the light. You're getting a window of how the world works. You're getting a lot of knowledge that some people can't handle, and they're like, they resist the knowledge and they dispute it. But you're also getting a lot of light energy. And that light energy can be deadly if you don't know how to convert the energy and bring on the substance so you have energy to convert. Okay? And so let me see what I wrote here. Light is aggressive energy, but can also be amplified and made to be extremely aggressive, causing immune system activation more than some people can handle, relative to their body, mind, and spirit. If one must survive the light, one must know how to keep up with its resources being converted so one does not expire prematurely. Why do you think we have different wattage bulbs for devices relative to how strong, soft, or types of light were needed for a situation? Because some devices call for a higher wattage of bulbs for its intended use. So you have the soft white light bulbs, you have incandescent, you have LEDs, those are aggressive. Okay? If the system is calling for silent weapons for quiet wars, then changing the temperature in areas of the country is one way, while amplifying light rays is another way. Of course, making cancer, disease, and chronic illness more accelerated and the aging process faster as these kids turn into elderly children sooner. And people are also aging aggressively, aging sooner. And they are losing collagen, they're losing substance, they're losing fat. They're losing muscle. They're losing even logic, you know. And kids and humans and animals are already starving, burning more resources than they can retain or have access to. Okay, so electrical energy, light energy, can be converted into electrical energy through photovoltaic effect, which occurs in solar cells. In a solar cell, photons from sunlight interact with semiconductor materials to create electrons. The amount of energy produced is directly related to the intensity of light that hits the cell. So the amount of energy produced is directly related to the intensity of light that hits the cell. Other ways light energy can be converted into electrical energy include hydrogen fuel cells and charge-coupled devices. Hydrogen fuel cells. When you think about all this water vapor being converted into something aggressive. Chemical energy, light energy, can be converted into chemical energy through photosynthesis. And there you have biodiversity, right? You have plants, you have humans, animals, which occurs in plants, and photosynthesis, water and carbon dioxide are used to create glucose molecules and other sugars, while oxygen is released as a byproduct. Chemical reaction energy, light energy, can be converted into chemical reaction energy. For example, roses are red because of photosynthesis. All light is made up of photons, which are small packets of energy. The energy of photon depends on its color or wavelength, so how aggressive it is. And so only a little bit of light gets to my office, which is great. Again, I don't have half as many resources as some people to keep throwing logs on a fire. So a bigger person, if they can release the demons, not get bigger and bigger and bigger, they can handle probably throwing a bunch of logs on the fire, but what are you burning and why? What are you growing and why? And so maybe that's how civilizations rose and fell, and how the elders controlled their population. Well, through amplified light, through obviously even the whole solar eclipse was some kind of mass ritual that will be apocalyptic for some. Actually, it will be apocalyptic for all, because when you know what's going on, you watch people just stare at the sun or go out there and hang out with people knowing this is what's going on. It's a suffering watching people that you love and respect mess themselves up. But also people who are actually being messed up is an apocalypse for them. And so they had everyone looking at the solar eclipse. Not everybody. Those who knew better stayed home and stayed safe, blocked out the windows, became cave dwellers because poles shifted. How do we really know what happened thousands of years ago or even hundreds of years ago? All I know is blocking out my windows upstairs, I'm sleeping better. I just feel better being mostly in darkness, giving my body a rest from all the light. It's not like I'm living in the darkness 100% of the time. I go outside, I go downstairs, but I feel immune system activation, especially spending more time in the light. It feels like a pixelation, like sparkly feeling, like a separation. And then my immune system brings everything back together because I have reserves. I eat. Cooking in the kitchen last night was interesting because there was so much light in the kitchen because one of the windows brings in so much light. So we have these trees removed because they were dying, and we don't want, with so much saturation of water in the earth, we don't want trees falling on the house. So the system, the community, or the government removed some of the trees that are right in front of my window that were blocking the sunlight. So we're getting direct now sunlight, not only on the deck, which is disintegrating some of the cushions on the table, the patio table, but it's also coming right into my kitchen. Okay, right where I'm washing dishes. And so I felt my immune system activation, especially spending more time in the light. It feels like a pixelation, like sparkly feeling. And so, because cooking in the kitchen last night was interesting because there was so much light in the kitchen because of one of the windows brings in so much light. It's the light that is developing strong storms, rises and drops in temperature, and immunological activation sequences. And blindness for some, delayed reaction for others. The light outside is not the same. It's even more activated, which is why these storms are even more aggressive. We had torrential rains last night in Northeast Ohio. It rained extremely hard last night, more than I've ever heard the rain. Harder than I ever heard it. And I told you guys I'm blocking out the windows in my office, and I did. I don't even know what time of day it is. It feels like it's still night to me, which is great. We will eventually get blackout curtains later, but right now we have other fish to fry. It's the sun, and the light waves are activated and accelerated and amplified. The sun is the same, but the rays are amplified, which is why I feel sorry for the kids shoved outdoors, especially by these people that are like, oh, well, we're not going to live with technology where the kids are stuck to their screen, which I understand, but outside the light is amplified. Everything is amplified. So these kids are aging faster, being shoved outdoors most of the time. But even if they're indoors and they're looking at their tablets and whatever else, parents have the windows open. Parents have everything open. So even though they're not outside, the light's still coming inside because no one's actually blocking out the sun. But why would they do that? They weren't trained to do that. They don't understand how deadly the light can be. So no matter if you have the kids inside with all the windows open, it's not going to make a freaking difference what the hell you do. If you don't actively block out the windows in areas that you live inside the most. And that's what's crazy. That's what's really freaking crazy. That's why those that live in those big homes, all the glass, living in solariums, you'll be like the vampires, just turning to ash very quickly. which is why I feel sorry for the kids shoved outdoors by parents who are unaware. Some can afford immune system activation at the time, all the time, and the human growth hormone activated all the time, accelerating their maturity, but if you don't control it somehow, we will have elderly children. I mean, it's already happening, you know. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So my recommendation to the people who are aware, find a dark place in your house that you can block off the light and have your TV, have wherever, so you can get some respite from the aggressive amplification of the sun. That's how you potentially could survive. And then your immune system will activate when you go outside. You might, who knows what. I mean, you could get hives, who knows what. But you have to be able to jockey back and forth between the aggressive light and the darkness. And sometimes that light will cause immune system activation, which could cause aggressive growths. It could cause hives. Whatever it is that's lurking within your system, it has to come out. But at least you can control the activation sequence and give yourself some rest. So then those that are out there all the time, gallivanting and traveling and whatever, you're not giving yourself any rest or respite. You're just constantly stressing out your body until one day you can't come back. And so I understand why some of our ancestors were cave dwellers, because some areas of the earth were so amplified that they would die or their life would be shorter and they would be in so much pain. That's why I get very mad at energy healing people, because they're using light to take away not only pain and suffering, but their own life. Radiation, oncology, frequencies. Yeah. All right, good luck. I'm not reading anything more. Bye. I mean, who knows? What else am I going to fucking say? People will get it or they won't. Bye.